In May 2022, flames tore through a cell at South Africa's Mangaung Correctional Center, leaving a charred body that officials quickly identified as inmate Thabo Bester. The notorious rapist and murderer serving a life sentence seemed to have met a tragic end in the blaze. But this fire hid a daring escape that stunned the nation and exposed deep flaws in the prison system. Bester didn't burn alive. He vanished with help from his girlfriend, Dr. Nandipha Magudumana, and a network of accomplices who staged the whole scene. They turned off cameras, planted a fake corpse, and even held sham funerals to cover their tracks. For months, the pair lived large in luxury, posing as successful developers until authorities caught up with them in Tanzania. This wild tale of deception, betrayal, and a manhunt across borders grips anyone who loves a good crime story. Stick around as we break down how Bester pulled it off, who aided him, and what his recapture means for South Africa's justice system. Who was Thabo Bester before the escape? To grasp the full impact of Thabo Bester's prison break, we must look back at the man he was. Born in 1986 in Soweto, South Africa, Bester faced a rough start from day one. His birth went unregistered because his mother lacked official papers too. With absent parents, his grandmother stepped in to raise him. She passed away during his teenage years, leaving him to fend for himself in a harsh world. This early instability set the stage for a life marked by lies and escalating violence. From small-time fraud to notorious killer, Bester's criminal path began young. At just 17, he landed his first conviction for fraud. He tricked people with false promises, stealing small sums to get by. But this was no isolated slip. Bester quickly built a web of deceit using multiple fake identities. Reports show he juggled at least 13 aliases over the years. Each name let him slip away from consequences and start fresh scams. Think of it like a chameleon changing colors to hunt. Bester adapted his personas to fit whatever scheme he cooked up. After serving 2 years in jail for that initial fraud, he hit the streets at 19. Parole rules meant he should stay straight. Instead, he broke free from oversight and dove deeper into crime. Those early cons honed his skills in manipulation. He learned how to charm victims and dodge detection. This pattern of deception grew bolder, pulling him toward acts that shocked everyone. Fraud became a stepping stone to something far darker, revealing a man who thrived on control and betrayal. What drove this shift? Bester's life lacked anchors, so crime filled the void. His fake names were not just tools, they became shields for bolder risks. By his early 20s, the small-time hustler had transformed into a predator. This evolution exposed the dangers of unchecked patterns. Early intervention might have changed his course, but instead his deceptions snowballed into tragedy. The crimes that landed him in prison for life. Bester's worst acts came in his late teens and early 20s. He targeted young women using social media to build trust before striking. Known as the Facebook rapist, he posed as a talent scout on the platform. He dangled fake modeling jobs to lure victims, often aspiring models eager for a break. In one case, he met a woman online and convinced her to meet. Once alone, he raped her. He followed a similar script with a second victim, another young model he contacted through Facebook. These attacks happened after he gained their confidence, showing a calculated approach. Bester pleaded guilty to both rapes in 2011, facing the weight of his actions in court. But his crimes did not stop there. Around the same time, he murdered his girlfriend Mfundo Taihulu. Details point to a personal betrayal turned deadly. He killed her in 2011, and in 2012 he admitted guilt for the murder too. The court handed down a life sentence, locking him away in a maximum security facility. These events painted a clear picture of a man who exploited connections for harm. Bester's methods relied on the anonymity of social media. Platforms like Facebook made it easy to craft lies and reel in targets. His victims were vulnerable, chasing dreams he twisted into nightmares. The judge saw the pattern, repeated deception leading to irreversible damage. This life term aimed to protect society from further pain. Yet, as we know, Bester found a way to challenge that fate. How did Thabo Bester pull off the impossible escape? Thabo Bester's breakout from Mangaung Correctional Center ranks as one of the boldest prison escapes in modern history. He didn't just slip away, he staged a fake death that fooled everyone for months. This scheme relied on cold calculation, a willing body double, and cracks in the system that let corruption run wild. Let's unpack the steps that turned a locked cell into a launchpad for freedom. Faking death with a chilling twist. Prison guards rushed to cell 35 on May 3, 2022 after smoke filled the air. A fire had raged inside, leaving a charred body on the floor. Officials declared it Thabo Bester, the life sentence inmate known for his violent past. They buried the remains quickly, even holding a funeral to close the chapter. South Africa breathed a sigh of relief, one dangerous man gone. Months passed before doubts crept in. Reporters and family members questioned the story. Why no clear photos? Why the rush? In late 2022, DNA tests shattered the illusion. The body belonged to cattle-burning Mfafu, not Bester. Mfafu, a 44-year-old drifter with his own troubled history, had ties to Bester's circle. Authorities pieced together the horror. Accomplices murdered Mfafu and used his corpse to mimic Bester's end. This twist chilled investigators. Bester's team dressed the body in his clothes and set the blaze to sell the lie. They timed it perfectly, exploiting a single cell Bester had requested for safety. No witnesses saw him leave alive because, in their eyes, he never did. The fake death bought him nearly a year on the run, living under aliases with his partner in crime. What makes this so gripping? It shows Bester's ruthlessness. He didn't hesitate to end a life for his gain. Mfafu's death exposed how far Bester would go, turning a simple fire into a murder plot. Families of both men still seek answers, haunted by the betrayal. The inside help that made it possible. No one pulls off a stunt like this alone. Bester had allies deep inside Mangaung, a private prison run by G4S, a global security firm. Guards and officials looked the other way, or worse, lent a hand. Reports revealed bribes and blind eyes that let the plan unfold without a hitch. G4S staff faced heavy scrutiny. They controlled cameras, keys, and patrols, yet footage vanished during the fire. One guard allegedly took payoffs to ignore odd visits from outsiders. Another helped move items into the cell. Like accelerants for the blaze, these acts of greed cracked the prison's armor wide open. Corruption ran deeper than a few bad apples. Senior officials signed off on Bester's single-cell transfer, ignoring red flags. They approved the quick burial without basic checks. This mess pointed to systemic rot, underpaid workers, lax oversight, and a private system chasing profits over safety. Consider the fallout. South Africa's justice minister called for probes into G4S contracts. Families demanded accountability, asking how a maximum security spot turned porous. Bester's escape spotlighted flaws that put lives at risk. It forced reforms like better DNA protocols and staff vetting, but trust in the system took a hit. Bribes flowed from Bester's girlfriend, Dr. Nandipha Magudumana, who funneled cash to insiders. She posed as his doctor, gaining access to smuggled tools and plans. This network of turncoats made the impossible real. Their actions betrayed not just Bester's victims but every taxpayer footing the bill for secure prisons. What happened during Bester's year on the run? After the fake fire and the planted body, Thabo Bester and Nandipha Magudumana slipped into a shadow life. They had months to breathe free air, far from prison bars. Authorities mourned a dead man while the couple built a new world of lies and luxury. This period revealed their bold partnership, full of risks and rewards that kept them one step ahead until the net closed in. Hiding in plain sight back home. Picture a sunlit villa in Johannesburg's upscale Sandton neighborhood, where high walls and manicured lawns scream success. Bester and Magudumana settled there right after the escape, posing as a power couple in the property world. They called themselves Thabo and Dr. Nandi, running Aram Properties, a construction firm that drew in clients with promises of dream homes. Cash flowed from desperate buyers, funding their hidden life. Days blended into a tense routine. Magudumana, the glamorous doctor-turned-fugitive, handled the front, charming meetings, signing fake deals. Bester stayed low, but they ventured out together, hand in hand on shopping sprees at luxury malls. Witnesses spotted them at high-end stores, laughing like any young pair in love. Yet danger lurked in every glance. One slip could end it all. They changed cars often, used burner phones, and avoided old haunts to dodge prying eyes. This hideout felt like a gilded cage. Luxury cars parked in the driveway, gourmet meals on the table, but paranoia gripped them. Bester, ever the manipulator, drilled escape plans into Magudumana. She abandoned her medical career and kids to stand by him, a choice that baffled many. Their bond, forged in crime, held strong amid the glamour. For 8 months they thrived on scams, pulling in thousands while South Africa grieved a ghost. It was a masterclass in deception, right under the nose of a grieving nation. Fleeing across borders. By early 2023, whispers of doubt reached the authorities. DNA tests exposed the body switch and the hunt intensified. Bester and Magudumana knew time ran short. They packed light and bolted north, crossing into Tanzania with fake passports and cash-stuffed bags. The border jump felt like a desperate sprint, leaving behind the comfort of Johannesburg for uncertain shadows abroad. In Tanzania, they aimed for deeper cover. Arusha became their base, a tourist hub with dusty streets and Mount Kilimanjaro looming in the distance. They rented a quiet house, blending with expats and locals. Magudumana dyed her hair, Bester grew a beard, small changes to erase their faces from wanted posters. But the noose tightened fast. Interpol alerts spread, and South African police coordinated with Tanzanian forces. Tension built like a storm on the horizon. The couple moved again, dodging checkpoints and tips from informants. Locals in Arusha whispered about the strangers acting nervous, always looking over shoulders. On April 8, 2023, police stormed their hideout. Bester fought back, but officers overpowered him. Magudumana surrendered nearby, her empire of lies crumbling in handcuffs. Deported back to South Africa days later, they faced the music, charges of fraud, murder, and escape. This cross-border dash echoed infamous duos like Bonnie and Clyde, a lovers-on-the-lam tale with a South African twist. It exposed how fragile their freedom was, reliant on speed and secrecy. The manhunt's end brought relief, but questions lingered about other accomplices still loose. The dramatic arrest in Tanzania. The chase for Thabo Bester reached its fever pitch in Tanzania, where a web of lies finally unraveled under the weight of sharp detective work and global teamwork. After months of dodging capture, Bester and Nandipha Magudumana thought they had outsmarted everyone by slipping across borders. But the truth has a way of catching up, and this arrest packed all the drama of a blockbuster thriller. Police swooped in on April 8, 2023 near Arusha, ending their run with raw force and swift justice. Bester resisted, lashing out as officers pinned him down, while Magudumana gave herself up close by. Days later, both faced deportation back to South Africa, where new charges piled on like storm clouds. This moment didn't just snag two fugitives. It exposed how fragile their scheme really was, thanks to clues that lit the path from a fake fire to a dusty Tanzanian hideout. Clues that cracked the case. Investigators started connecting the dots with a burned body that didn't add up. Back in May 2022, officials swore the charred remains in Bester's cell belonged to him. They rushed the burial and even held a funeral to seal the story. But cracks appeared fast. Family members of the supposed victim raised eyebrows over missing details like clear photos or solid proof. Then came the DNA bombshell in late 2022. Tests revealed the body was Catalgo burning Mfafus, a drifter with his own dark past and loose ties to Bester's world. This mismatch screamed foul play. How could a life sentence killer swap places with a nobody? The inconsistency fueled doubts and kicked off a deeper probe into the prison fire as a staged murder, not an accident. Media reports poured gasoline on the fire. South African journalists, hungry for the truth, dug into the oddities. One photo hit like a thunderclap, Bester alive and grinning, arm in arm with Magudumana at a fancy Johannesburg mall. It surfaced in late 2022, shattering the death narrative. Outlets like Ground Up and News 24 ran stories that questioned everything from the quick burial to vanished security footage. Public outrage swelled as these reports spread online and in print. Readers devoured the updates, sharing tips and theories that pressured officials to act. You can picture the frenzy, a nation glued to screens piecing together how a dead man shopped for luxury while taxpayers mourned a ghost. Tip-off sealed the cross-country link. As scrutiny mounted, whispers from informants trickled in. Some came from South Africa, where locals spotted the couple's flashy lifestyle in Sandton. Others pointed north to border towns like Namanga on the Tanzania-Kenya line. Bester's crew had tried to bolt toward Nairobi, but alerts from Interpol stopped them cold. Tanzanian police, tipped off by their South African counterparts, ramped up patrols in Arusha. One key lead came from a local who noticed the nervous strangers renting a quiet house, always glancing over their shoulders. These anonymous calls, combined with media heat, painted a clear trail. Investigators mapped it out: fake death in Bloemfontein, luxury hideout in Johannesburg, then a desperate dash to Tanzania's tourist spots. This blend of clues turned a local scandal into an international takedown. South African teams shared DNA files and suspect photos with Tanzanian forces who staked out potential spots. The body ID flop proved Bester's ruthlessness, willing to kill for freedom. Media spotlights kept the pressure on, turning public eyes into extra watchdogs. And those tip-offs, they acted like sparks in dry grass, igniting the final raid. Without this chain of evidence, Bester might still roam free. Instead, the arrest yanked him back to reality, a stark reminder that no lie stays buried forever. Crime buffs know this drill: one loose thread and the whole sweater comes apart. The fallout, corruption, trials, and lasting impact. Thabo Bester's escape ripped open wounds in South Africa's justice system that still bleed today. The scandal didn't end with his arrest. It sparked probes into corruption, dragged trials through endless delays, and left families in agony. This mess shook public faith and forced hard looks at how prisons fail to keep threats locked away. As crime fans, we can't ignore the human toll or the slow grind toward accountability. Exposing rot in the prison system. Bester's breakout laid bare deep problems inside Mangaung Correctional Center. Guards took bribes, cameras went dark, and a body double ended up burned to fake a death. These failures didn't just free a killer, they highlighted how private firms like G4S, who ran the prison, put profits ahead of safety. South Africans demanded answers. Reports painted a picture of lax rules and ignored warnings. G4S faced backlash for hearing staff who cut corners. One guard admitted to payoffs that let outsiders slip in with tools for the fire. Another overlooked Bester's odd requests like moving to a single cell perfect for the plot. This inside help turned a secure spot into a joke. Public trust crumbled fast. People wondered how a life sentence inmate walked out under officials' noses. Calls grew for tighter oversight on private prisons. G4S lost contracts amid the uproar and lawmakers pushed for better checks. Yet the damage lingers. Families of past victims fear more escapes could happen, and taxpayers foot the bill for these breakdowns. Broader security gaps hit hard. Prisons across the country use outdated tech and undertrained staff. Bester's case showed how one weak link lets chaos spread. It sparked debates on ending private management altogether. For now, reforms promise stronger vetting and DNA rules, but skeptics say real change needs more than words. Bester's legal battles continue. Bester sits in custody, but his fight in court drags on with no end in sight. He already serves life for 2 rapes and a murder from over a decade ago. Now new charges stack up, helping an escape, fraud, and ties to the killing of his body double Cattle Go Burning Mfafu. These add layers to a case that keeps twisting. Trials face constant roadblocks. Pre-trial hearings fill the Free State High Court calendar, but the main showdown won't start until at least 2026. Delays stem from Bester firing lawyers left and right. He's on his 5th team since 2023. His current attorneys stick around only if he lets them. Co-accused like Nandipha Magudumana battle separate issues, including her push against extradition in the Constitutional Court. These stalls frustrate everyone. Prosecutors struggle to line up evidence from the escape plot. Witnesses hesitate and legal teams clash over details. A Netflix documentary aired despite pleas to block it, spilling more secrets and fueling public buzz. Bester and his 7 co-accused keep showing up for hearings, but justice feels miles away. The human cost cuts deepest for victims' families. Mfundo Taihulu's loved ones, still grieving her 2011 murder by Bester, endure fresh pain from these holdups. Rape survivors wait years for closure on the escape charges. Every postponement reopens old scars, leaving them in limbo. They push for faster action, but the system moves at its own slow pace. This endless wait tests their strength and reminds us why these battles matter so much. Thabo Bester's escape blends raw deception, cold betrayal, and glaring failures in South Africa's prisons into a story that grabs you and won't let go. A fake fire, a murdered double, and insiders who sold out for cash show how one man's cunning exposed cracks that threaten us all. This case pushes us to demand real fixes in prison oversight and fight corruption head-on, so no killer slips through again. As crime fans, we live for these tales of high-stakes chases and justice's grind. Share your take on Bester's saga in the comments below, or keep tabs on his trial, now delayed until at least 2026 with a hearing set for December 2025. Your passion keeps these stories alive. Let's stay connected for the next twist.